Sit right down. Baby, let your hair hang down.
Welcome back. Cindy Dole here. Thanks for sharing part of your Saturday with me. Home Wizards, as we love to talk about places where you sit right down or stand right up or whatever it is, because it's the most important place in your world, hello, your home. And we're live at the Pasadena Showcase House, where thousands of people come through every year for a chance to get a little smarter about how to do it right. And these different designers, who are among the best in Southern California, 30 of them or so, spend about 3 months and talk about an extreme makeover. They're always on time and on budget, and the homeowners secretly go away, and all these things happen to this house, and now we get to see it. And this year's house is physically in La Cañada. It's an English-style home, a lot of brick on the exterior, looks very storybook to me, and we're right in front of it. It was designed by Paul Williams, the legendary architect, and there's so many stories throughout the home in terms of what we can take from it. And with me is a guy who really knows how to take risks, David Dalton. He worked as the interior designer on the Great Room. So, David, great to have you.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Now, did you pick this room, or was it assigned to you?
No, I picked the room.
Yeah.
It's a terrific room, palatial scale, beautiful detailing. So I picked the room.
What was the room used for before?
Well, it's really the living room.
Yeah.
I think they gave it the title of Great Room, but it's an enormous space, and it's got fantastic light on both sides, 10-foot-tall French doors and a beautiful bay window at one end, leaded windows and carved limestone and wood fireplace, great detailing, a beautiful ceiling. It has a paneled and carved beamed ceiling, all oak.
All from the 20s, right?
All from the 20s.
Yeah.
You know, and again, classic of Paul Williams' English revival style. All the homes that he built were beautifully detailed, really rich detailing.
So what was the color palette when you came to that space?
Well, it was all very
back.
neutral the day that I saw it. Yeah.
And now it's very vavoom.
Yeah, we definitely cranked up the volume on the color.
And when you have the pink, throw rug as the focal point, and then
Exactly.
you have a tangerine chair, and well, you fill in the gaps. What are some of the colors?
Well, we were kind of calling the colors colors that might have come from an English country palette. And really the whole scheme for the room started with a collection of fabrics from the fashion designer Isaac Mizrahi.
Oh, hello,
And so
yes.
it was really his interpretation of English country style. So I guess really it's my interpretation of his interpretation, because if you took the classic elements of English country style, you would have florals and chintzes and glazed linens and plaids, all of which are represented there.
And all sound so formal, but you made it not so formal. It's playful.
Right, because the fabric collection really has enormous scale, so the flowers were blown up so they're maybe 30-inch diameter. And the color palette, which we were calling colors that might have been from an English palette, we were calling it geranium red, carnation pink, and marigold orange. They're in there with a strong shot of leaf green, too.
Really pretty colors. And you weren't thinking at all about how pink is the color of the year. Right?
No.
That was just coincidence.
Yeah, well, I'm not afraid of color, and the room itself really, with the wooden floors and ceiling, was a fairly dark space. It's kind of a serious and somber room, so it really needed to be energized and modernized with color.
I bet Paul Williams would love it, don't you think?
I think he would be happy with everything that happened to his house here.
I think so. And you have some other fun accents. There's an ottoman, I want to say, that looks like it's a white, furry polar bear.
It looks a little bit like Powder Puff.
Or like my sheepdog or something. Yeah, what is that?
It's Mongolian lamb, and we took a round ottoman and upholstered it as the piano bench.
Very clever.
Yeah. It's a slipcover of Mongolian lamb.
So there's a lot of seating area. And, in fact, it's been written up as this is the happiest place in the showcase house. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that, but I'm happy to hear that.
Because it is. I mean, when you see those colors, I guess why wouldn't you feel happy? They're very bright and cheerful.
They are bright and cheerful, and the fact that color plays on psychology in design is important to me. I think cheerfully colored rooms are cheerful rooms.
Right. And this is the room where presumably the family would spend most of their time. I mean, this is kind of the hangout room. Even though it has a little bit more of a formality to it, it's the living room.
It definitely would be. And, the house is interesting in this sense. The the public rooms on the first level are grand in scale. The rest of the house really does have kind of quirky, small rooms with some charming detail. Those rooms aren't really rooms that you would hang out in because they are small. So I think you would be driven naturally to the spaces that are larger where more activities could take place.
I think when people go through the house, I mean, there's so many questions that go through everyone's minds, and one of them is, how do the designers come up with colors that will make sense, or at least an inspiration that makes sense from room to room? I mean, you want to put your signature and stand out, right? But yet, how do you also be true to the Paul Williams pressure and what the palette of the home is, and how does that all work out? Because what you've done is different.
Well, it's interesting how it works because, and I think that really it's all an accident if it ends up looking like there's a thread of continuity. I think everybody does take their own risks and their own, everybody uses their own point of view. So as a tour, you may coincidentally end up with 3 rooms that are side by side and have a similar color palette. But more often than not, I think you end up with a sort of eclectic mix of different styles from room to room, which really I think as a tour makes it a fun and exciting thing to experience.
I think that Barclay Butera's room, which is this bedroom that has a very Moroccan vibe, and he was saying that it was a scarf that inspired him to use this infusion of orange and purple and pink and green, and then you with your colors. I mean, those, I think combined, you guys took the most risk with pops of color.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of color in Barclay's room too. And then there's a fair amount of neutral in the house as well.
Right. So the moral to the story is, I mean, if you want to be bold with color, do it, I guess, starting with things that are more portable, right, that you can take and change if you're afraid. But what else would you suggest?
Well, you'll notice that we didn't paint the walls hot pink.
Right.
For instance.
It's the throw rug that's pink.
Exactly. They're small things that can be changed. And I think that's a great way to make change and color happen in your house is by doing it in smaller ways. Accessories, pillows, rugs, artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this great room, I don't remember seeing a TV, or is it hidden in the cabinet?
No, there's no TV in there.
Isn't that great?
No.
I mean, there's plenty of TV. I mean, there's TVs everywhere else,
Right.
including the garage, but there is none there. That's fine. So the idea then is to relax, to actually talk to one another. Go figure, right?
I think that would be an entertaining room, not an entertainment room.
Yeah. And to sit down and relax. What about the sofa and the seating choices that you've made?
Well, we made all of the upholstered furniture.
Yeah.
And we made them all in white upholstery. And the idea...
That's tricky. I mean, how can we live and sit and spill things on white?
Well, you just keep that that fabric cleaning can close to the white sofa. No, it's actually, it serves the purpose of really making the room feel fresher and larger.
Yeah.
The scale of the pieces are really large, but the fact that the large-scaled pieces are colored with white helps, I think, to make the room feel fresh.
It does, yeah.
Feel more modern, and feel a little bit more brighter.
And it was fabric, the Isaac Mizrahi fabric that was your inspiration, right?
Yes.
So is that something that we should think about too, is whether it's fabric or something in nature or whatever, pick that thing, or a scarf, that becomes your layout of what you're going to do, or at least the starting point?
Well, the starting point is frequently something unpredictable. I've had people ask to match the color of the room to the nail polish they were wearing, and it frequently comes from
or their purse,
the rug,
or their Prada raincoat that somebody I know copied at one point in time.
What a good memory you have. Yeah, whatever starts the decor, as long as you build a thoughtful story around that, it doesn't matter where the starting point is, really.
Okay. So here you have a lovely seating area, and you have a lot of light, too. Talk about the light and how that kind of plays with the use of the color, the white couches, and how it still feels fresh.
Well, the room naturally and fortunately has a lot of light. There are beautiful tall windows, an enormous bay window at one end of the room, and a bank of 10-foot tall French doors going out to a beautiful patio. So naturally there's a lot of light there. But that doesn't mean that the room itself, which has a very heavy wood, dark stained wood ceiling, felt light. So I think that by lightening the floor with a sisal area rug, which took some of the darkness away from the dark stained wood floor,
Right.
and then adding all the white upholstery, white draperies, white walls, I think that really set the tone of freshening the room so that it felt bright, and then the accent colors really just give it some energy.
And then talk about the chandelier that you have, or at least the lighting fixture.
Well, it's a bit like a starburst.
It is. Very modern
A little
feeling.
interpretation
Yeah.
of the starburst. And the room to me felt a little bit like it could be a cathedral because of the way the space is built. It looks like either a cathedral or a hotel lobby or a hunting lodge maybe. And I took the cathedral reference and thought that the light fixture should be something that maybe was a little celestial.
And certainly can use up that space, because how tall are the ceilings? How high?
It's a 14-foot
Yeah.
ceiling, and the diameter of that light fixture is more than 5 feet in
Yeah.
diameter. So it did do a lot to kind of occupy that upper space.
Fills it up, but yet it doesn't feel like it's going to come falling on top of you.
I hope it doesn't.
Well, it's really a lovely room, and in a little bit I want to talk more about what we can do to learn from this space, because I think that we all have that area, whether it's our formal living room or what's now, our combination kitchen, living room, great room, basically where we hang out, right?
Right.
I mean, because we want to figure out, step one, how do you use the space? I guess that's also went through your mind, how the homeowner is going to use that space.
Yeah, that's very important. Planning the way the space is going to function is a very important part of whether or not the design ends up being successful in the end.
Yeah, because if we're not going to use it, that wasn't very good.
No matter how beautiful it is, right?
All right, well, don't you go away. We're talking with David Dalton, the designer of the great room that, boy, you can't miss it when you come to the Pasadena Showcase House. You're going to love these colors and more. It's all going on, and we are broadcasting right out in front. If you haven't won tickets yet, I hope you'll go to the website, cindydole.com. Email me your chance to win in the coming weeks, and we're back with more on Home Wizards after this.
Sexy for Milan, New York, and Japan.
Welcome back. Cindy Dole here with a guy who he stands for sexy design, David Dalton, don't you? Yeah? I think you do. Do you ever, when someone says, hey, can you help me with this space, you go, gosh, I don't know where to begin. You always have just a fountain of ideas. You never just completely are just dry that day, have writer's
if you
cramp.
asked me how to change the oil on your car, I might draw a blank.
Yeah.
If you asked me to represent you in court, I would definitely say no. But if you asked me to design your space, I don't think I'd be short on ideas.
You always have the ideas. Yeah. Do you wake up in the middle of the night with ideas?
They come in the morning.
In the morning, the first
Yeah.
thing you wake up, boom, and then you write them down, or you talking to your iPhone, or what, you just record them somehow. You just remember them.
They just hang around there.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Fun. And you've always been into design, haven't you?
Always. I studied film in school, thinking that I was going to do set design, and I did do that for a short period of time. But I ended up years ago getting a summer job with a designer from Pasadena who did a lot of showcase houses, coincidentally, and I thought that the projects he did were so much more dramatic and theatrical than the film sets I had worked on. I ended up staying there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the film set part, that's one of the reasons why you have black and white photos of a lot of these movie stars like Humphrey Bogart and Elizabeth Taylor,
Right.
and all those folks in your great room here at the Pasadena Showcase House. That's kind of a fun vintagey thing. And I guess, are we not also kind of topping our hat to the royal wedding? Isn't that kind of like the underlying theme too here at the Showcase
Well,
House?
I think you could just put all things English in the same
all
category.
thing English, exactly. Fun. Well, so if those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about this great room that's in this year's Pasadena Showcase House, which, by the way, you can email me for your chance to take the tour and win tickets. Just go to cindydole.com. And we've been broadcasting from here every year for the past 5 years or so, and it's so fun to be here to see it in person. But every time you go, I like to go several times. Don't you feel that even though you've been working on this for several months, that you still learn something new by just walking and seeing it a different way?
Oh, there's so much to see here, really. It is like Disneyland. If you took the house by itself, it would be enough. But when you add the carriage house and the pool house and the barn and the marketplace and all the garden spaces, it's really a full day of fun and a lot to explore.
So take us back to when you as a designer and all the other designers, nearly 30 or so, who all were chosen to participate. When you sign up for this, I mean, you've been doing this for several years, right?
I've done it before. This is my fifth year.
Fifth year. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big chunk of time that you're doing while you're juggling your regular day gig, right?
It is.
Yeah, but it's well worth it, and it's fun.
It is fun. Part of the reason for doing it is the camaraderie that exists here with all the other designers, and that part is fun.
And then people save those programs, and they go, wait, I've got to have that David Dalton look. In about a year, I'm ready to spend money. Sign me up.
Well, it's interesting how that works. The programs end up being, I've received calls several years after people saw spaces that I designed. So it's a worthwhile investment of my time and energy.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so in terms of getting chosen to be the great room designer, how did that work out?
Well,
You compete in a way.
the process works
Yeah.
so that the designers all come to see the house on the same day, and they do a walkthrough of the house, select a room that they'd like to design, and then write up a proposal. The proposals are reviewed by the committee, and then they select and assign the spaces to the designers who they thought had the best proposal.
And you won.
Well, here
Now,
I am.
and in that proposal, did you have all this bright color? I mean, you were going to have pink and orange and all this in there, or was it more vague? It wasn't quite to that detail at that point.
It was a little bit more vague. You know, the process of designing a space where a lot of the merchandise that gets used is either donated or loaned
Yeah.
ends up meaning that you have to be ultimately flexible during the whole process, because I may have thought in the beginning that I was going to use a certain fabric, and then by the time I actually got to the donation process with the vendor, it ended up being different fabric altogether. And that's true of a lot of things that happen in the room. So I think the original concept is a starting point, and then you have to stay very flexible along the way, which is a good way to look at how design really works for most people. I think you can have a very fixed plan in your head, but by the time you finish that space, I'm sure you've been on an adventure that's taken you to places you never thought you'd end up.
Yeah, I mean, everything from materials and change orders, and people just, don't know what to expect, and then you take a detour, right?
It really is a process, yeah. It's not a fixed vision.
What would you say would be the price tag of a nice living room, great room, like the one that you created here at the Showcase House? So we can kind of go, all right, well, that's like our fantasy, and then we can kind of backtrack from there,
A room like that, if you were to take the room with all of its furnishings and accessories, decor, artwork, and everything, it's probably about $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way more than the kitchen.
Well, there are some expensive items in there, and there's a lot of it because it's the largest space in the house.
Right, and the room we spend most of our times. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing that's probably a bigger budget than most could handle, but you never know. But if let's say that we wanted something a little bit less than that, what's another possible budget point to be shooting for, to be thinking of great new furniture, great new furnishings?
Well, like all things,
like maybe $100,000 or under that.
Like all things, you could have the high and low.
Right.
And I think you could do the same thing with this room. There are a lot of ways that you could approximate a look like this. The rug, for instance, would be a good starting point. The rug in there is actually it's a vintage rug that's reassembled from other rugs that were either damaged or worn. So they cut the rugs up, stitch them back together, and then over dye them. So the one that you're looking at is rather large.
And that's the pink rug that we see.
Right. And it's made from some fairly rare rug fragments, but rugs that look like that and other rugs that are trying to copy that are available at a fraction of the price that rug.
Kind of like the Target thing. I mean,
Exactly.
Fun. All right. Well, what would you wish for us as we were thinking and dreaming? Because after we see, all the different rooms here, I mean, that's all you do. You go, oh my gosh, I've got to go home, and where do I start? I want to get new paint. I want to do this. I got to go to the garden. It's almost overwhelming, all your to-do list. What would you kind of focus us on in terms of our next great room change? Some realistic things to be thinking of and planning for.
I think start with the simple things first. A coat of paint is about as simple as you can get.
And what kind of paint did you have on the wall? What color? Can you remember? I mean, I was fixated on all the other bright colors.
You know, I wish I could say it was something really fancy.
It was just a neutral color.
Dunn Edwards Swiss Coffee.
Okay, so
Yeah.
very neutral.
Yeah, it's a very neutral color.
Okay.
And it was a color that you'll see in several of the areas in the house.
Okay. So think of that color, and then what else would you suggest?
Well, I would say that you can always change the decor by doing small things. Art, accessories, and lighting are huge ways that you can make a dramatic impact without busting your bank account open.
And the lighting that you had, I mean, it's amazing. Nice touches, rich
Yeah,
touch.
you could really redesign a space entirely without doing anything but changing lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's a simple way to start.
Well, what is your website so people can find you?
It's daviddaltoninc.com.
Excellent. Any other neat projects that are coming up that we should watch for?
Oh, we just finished doing a Jewish temple, which was an interesting project, and we've got quite a few residential jobs on the boards, and we're also designing some new collections of wood carvings for a company called Enkabal, which has some terrific product.
Wow, that sounds like quite the undertaking, huh?
Yeah, it's all
You and your ideas.
no 2 days are ever the same.
You didn't put pink though in there, did you? In the temple?
No pink in the temple.
Okay, just checking. All right, well, David Dalton, fun having you, and everyone, when you do come to the showcase house, they'll see you. You can say hi, right?
I'm here a lot.
You're here a
Yes.
lot at the great room. All right. Well, I hope you had fun listening to all these great ideas here at the Pasadena Showcase House, and remember to email me to enter to win to see this magnificent home that is just so chock full of ideas inside and out. I mean, and many of the ideas don't really cost a thing. I mean, again, one of my favorites was outside in the kitchen garden. Alistair Bose used these wine bottles to create a beautiful glass trim around his plantings. It's so cute. All you do is dig a hole and put these wine bottles upside down in there, and it's just clever. So make sure you email me, cindydole.com, for your chance to win tickets, because we're going to be giving them away in the many weeks to come. You have until the middle of May to go. Now, by the way, in Pasadena, coming up next Saturday, there's a self-guided walking tour. It is to Pasadena's most treasured historic interior places. It's put on by the ASID Pasadena. Go to asidpasadena.org for that. So coming up next Saturday, Home Wizards is on the road again. We're going to go Las Vegas, baby, showing you all the latest in kitchen and bath at K-Biz, what's new in appliances and fixtures and plumbing, all next Saturday. And until then, have a great weekend. Remember this, the key is under the mat. Bye-bye.
I'd say that was a pretty successful broadcast.